Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 219 of our Your Next Level Mastermind. And our topic for today is the best advice I've ever received. And what happened when you got it? The best advice you've ever received. Now, whether it's in life or in business, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm looking forward to hearing that. Very quickly, for those who are watching on the replay, do me a favor. These people here give up their time, their expertise, their knowledge, and more importantly than anything else, their willingness. They give up that to help you, even though they're busy people in their own right. Do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Look underneath the video on YouTube, check their links there, book a time with them, and make sure you get the opportunity to talk with them, with Brian and John, Tony, George, Alan. Oh, he's on holiday. Well, he'll be back by the time we get there. Okay. Evangelos, Dr. Chris, and Mary. Reach out to them. Reach out to all of these people. Okay. And book a time with them. Good to see you, Jeff, by the way. All righty. So there's our topic for the day, the best advice I've ever been given. And what happened when you got it? What did you do with it, in other words? But before we do that, let's get them to introduce themselves. So the first person here, as he always is, and I was going to put his apology in because he's been on a diesel generator trying to get online, it was John Allen. So let's start with you, John, followed by Dr. Chris.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, no matter where you are in this big wide world of ours. I'm John D. Allen, Allen Small Business Coaching. What I talk about is fall in love with your prospect's problem, not your solution or program. If your business isn't generating the revenue you want or your sales are slow, a lot of it could be trust. If your prospects and clients don't
Whoops. You better start your generator,
people how
John.
to build trust so that they can resonate with you. They don't feel like they're being sold. You're being authentic. So that's what people are looking for. They want the real you. They want somebody that's telling them the truth, not blowing smoke, and giving them what they want. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're there. We lost you for a moment, but we got the message loud and clear. Thank you very much, John. Dr. Chris Willems, always a pleasure to see you, followed by Tony.
Thank you, Peter. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Chris Willems from ArtsMedia Consultants. I help business owners, business leaders, and entrepreneurs who loathe presenting get to love it and not feel like they come across as complete dicks on video and Zoom. Why? Because more than 85% of all online communication these days is via video. So you need to get credible and comfortable on camera.
Thank you, Chris. And they sure do. Doctor, not doctor, we've had one doctor. Tony B.
I've been called less.
Tony B, followed by Alan before we lose him to his resort. So over to you, Tony.
Hi, Tony Boniuto. I'm running the Boniuto movement. My last name means good help in Italian. So we help a lot of people, I like to say that I help people heal on the inside so they can live more free on the outside. And we do that by starting with relationships. And most importantly, the number one relationship we have is the one with ourselves. And the one we have with God would be number two, probably. If you don't have you don't have God. If you don't have God, you have nothing else. So we work really hard on helping people with all their struggles and figuring out who they are and how they could get free on the inside. Thanks.
Thank you, Tony. Very much indeed. Love your passion. Alan, let's talk to you before you get too sunburned, followed by Mary.
Hi, Peter. Hi, everyone. I'm Alan Edwards. I'm normally in Hampshire in the UK, where I run a property investment and development business. And the reason that I'm in Marbella in Spain at the moment is I'm on a retreat where I'm learning all about property trading. This is without buying or selling or owning properties, so as to make money from property in a more risk-free way. So this is highly lucrative, and I'll be informing you all about it in the future. So I'll just keep it brief for now. and wish you all a great day, even if I do have to drop off the call. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Alan. We're looking forward to hearing what you learn, because I mean you always come up with some brilliant things. So thank you very much indeed, mate. Mary Stanley, followed by George.
I'm losing my voice for a minute there. It's a pleasure to be here today. So I'm going to do something a little different instead of a pitch. I want you to look at something and I want you to think about this. A soldier in combat and an autistic child in a classroom may look like worlds apart, but their nervous system tells a similar story. Both are wired for survival. Both react to overwhelm with shutdown, hypervigilance, and escape. Both deserve support, not judgment. Just like a soldier doesn't need to be fixed, but understood, protected, and honored, autistic children don't need to be made normal. They need safety, respect, and space to be themselves. This is where the narrative changes. In supportive minds, we don't train people to conform. We equip families, educators, and communities to connect with empathy, brain-based tools, and trauma-informed care, because behind every behavior is a story. And when we listen, we heal, we grow, we unmask. Most people would never be able to take a soldier and understand what they're going through and compare it to how an autistic child lives. In reality, it's the same story, the same place. Both are wired for fight, flight, and response all the time. So when you see a child react, I want you to think about that and ask for support or help and how you can help somebody instead of placing judgment.
Wow, Mary, that is brilliant. Wow. When we listen, we heal. That is something pretty darn special. Thank you very much. Before I ask George to say something, I'm going to ask you all to think of also not just sharing the best advice you've ever been given, but if you've got a quote that really impacted on you, share it, because we can all learn from the impact it had on you as well. So if there's any quote in your life that it really resonated with you, please share it. Please do that, okay? It doesn't have to be yours. I'm going to share you a couple that my old man gave me that kicked me in the pants a few times as well. Anyway, George, over to you, George Naugle, followed by Veale.
Hello, everyone. My name is George, obviously. And I help small business owners work 30% less and make 25% more profit in 30 days. That's it. That's what I do.
Thank you, George. Very much indeed. Well, you caught me up. Veale, sorry, followed by Jeff Veale.
Hello, everyone. Veale. I work out in the technology corporate world, and how a lot of companies and a lot of executives, they spend their entire life and their energy making sure that the corporate world is doing well. And a lot of times they get so busy that they lose sight of making sure that they are doing well. Whenever there's an issue in the corporate world, they're there to help, but they sometimes don't have the time to help themselves. So I work in the corporate world and help people with any type of psychological barriers, because sometimes the things that resolve stuff in the technology world are not business tools. Sometimes they're remedied by things in your belief systems in your mind. So that's where I work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my man. Jeff Veale, followed by Brian K. McNeil.
My name is Jeff Veale. I'm an Australian living in Asia. I have a big team up here, all types of people, mainly in digital marketing. And we have virtual assistant service where for $15 a day, you can get an amazing VA to help you save 20 hours a week. So if you want to save 20 hours a week, why not reach out? And my quote, you'll all hate me for this. If you write this down, you'll hate me later. My quote's an easy one. Do it now. I've got to put the rubbish out. Get up and do it. Do it now. I've got to water the plants. Do it now. And by having that thought in your mind, do it now, you'll be super productive, but you'll do a shitload of jobs, extra jobs every day with that thought, do it now. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Jeffrey, do it now. 3 words, very powerful. Brian K. McNeil, the
Good morning,
sales
everyone. My name
philosopher, evangelist, come missionary, whatever he wants to call himself this week, we'll run with it.
Let's run with all of that. But my name is Brian K. McNeil, and I am a sales coach. I am the sales skills improvement evangelist. I'm also the best sales speaker and the world's recognized authority on selling services. Super excited about my newest books. But you know how there's so many amazing people that offer services that genuinely do help other people. A lot of these amazing people that offer these services do not earn the money that they could or that they should. And very often, the reason why they don't earn the money is simply because they do not know how to sell it well, or they have a negative connotation around the thought of selling, or they're using antiquated methods of selling that used to work and no longer work. And what I do is actually teach them what to say and do so they can sell themselves, which they often forget, and their services better than they ever have before so they can earn more money than ever before. And I do it through my coaching, through my workshops, through my talks from a platform, or through my books. I am an 8-time published author, and I'm super excited about how my business has been shaped over the years. Brian K. McNeil, the sales skills improvement evangelist.
Thank you very much, Brian. Well done. Before we
Dr. Chris gave me a thumbs up. I'm good.
Well, let's all give him a thumbs up. There you go. There you go. There you go. Our apologies for the evening. Yvonne Jones, Gabby Ito, Tina Huggins, Mark Engstar, Daniel Cabrina, and Dr. Annika Sorensen. They all sent their apologies and they'll be here next week. They apologize for today. Our topic, ladies and gentlemen, okay? In fact, goodness gracious, Mary, you're the only lady here. So stand up and be counted, right? The best advice I've ever received and what happened when you got it. Who'd like to go first? Brian, over to you.
The best advice I ever got, I got maybe 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, and it hit me like a truck. I was having coffee with a lady that I consider a very successful businesswoman. She'd made her millions through network marketing and real estate. And we were having coffee, and she really is a big fan of mine. And I said to her, Miss Nancy, if you had to do over again in your career, she's also much older than me, she's in her 70s, what would you have done differently? And she pondered, but she had a great answer. Her answer was, if I had to do over again, Brian, I would have asked for more help, and I would have been willing to accept more help. Asking for more help and be willing to accept more help. And the moment it came to me, it was like, oh, wow, how amazing is this? Even though I recognize that as the greatest advice I ever got, and I utilize it, I can still be utilizing that great advice even the more. Ask for more help and be willing to accept more help.
Well said. Well said. And the second bit is the most important bit of all. Be willing to accept it. That's the key. Well said indeed, Brian. By the way, before we get to you, Mary, let me share one quick one. My father, God bless his heart and soul, he was one tough hombre. There's no doubt about that. And I was the eldest son, and he expected me to achieve things that I thought were well beyond my capacity. And he was never satisfied. And in fact, he never congratulated me for anything. And I don't think he even told me he ever loved me, to be quite frank. I know he did, but he never told me those words. But he said this one to me. Son, you've had a hard day before. This is just another bloody one. Stop whinging, you'll get through it. That's one. That stuck with me for the rest of my life, right? And the other one he gave me was this, and think of this very carefully. He said, you don't need a 5-year plan, Peter. You just need a reason to get through today. And those things hit me because I've been going through some challenges in my own life, especially with family health situations and challenges. And those two things keep circulating back to me. And so they were things that inspired me, and they were very much the best advice I've ever been given, even though at the time I didn't like it. I'm hearing what you said too, Brian, that I didn't want, you've got to accept it. I didn't want to accept it, but in hindsight, my old man was bloody right. He was right. And I was just not prepared to listen as much as I should. Anyway, enough of me. Mary, over to you.
So I got two important pieces of advice that I was given. The first one was the Army ethos that I recite now, even in my head all the time, is I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will always quit. I will never quit, and I will never leave a fallen comrade. When I started out my business, I was doing something that was so out of the status norm in the US. And I was called everything under the sun and couldn't get clients, couldn't be taken seriously. It really struggled. And when I started replaying that back in my head, it helped give me that push to keep going. And then I met y'all. And, you kept telling me that, that mission's a good mission. That mission, you got to keep fighting for it. And then, you just need to speak from the heart. When you speak from the heart, you get that emotion, you get that authenticity. And when you keep talking about your business or what you're doing, even just anything that you have passion about, when you speak from the heart, people will gravitate and listen to you more than when you just do a little elevator pitch that you read that you sound monotone. And since I modified and changed things, and I keep still to this day, I still recite it. And I speak now unscripted, unprepared. I just talk. I've reached whole new heights that I've never even thought I could ever reach before.
Mm.
Exciting news. I am actually working with our local state to modify our standardized testing for autistic and neurodiverse children. So we'll get an accurate result on where they're at and what help they need.
That's awesome.
We're proud of you, Mary. We really are proud of you. You
Awesome.
are one hell of a woman. There's no doubt about that. My goodness. You're my shout out right now. What you just said blew me away. Thank you so very much, Mary. Very much indeed. And by the way, one other thing my old man told me, and I'll get on to you then, Tony. He said to me this. You know what, Peter? The biggest step forward you're ever going to make is not to quit today. Think about that. He was wise, my old man, wasn't he? He was really wise. I should have listened to him earlier before he passed away. Anyway, Tony B, I know you've got a lot of wisdom hanging out there, so let's hear it.
Mary, you sent chills up my spine. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
me
a
too.
beautiful movement you're doing there. Congratulations and keep up the good work. Wow, really cool. I love that this topic is wow. There's so many. I'm going to give you mine because it's near and dear to my heart more than anything. And it started with my addictions and alcoholism. It's called A Day at a Time. And not only does it apply to me to not drink today, but it applies to every area in my life. And it has to do with the theories like about the past is already gone and the future's not here yet. You got 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow, you're peeing all over today. So you might as well stay in the now, a day at a time. And I've broken that down many a times to not just a day at a time, but to an hour at a time, a minute at a time, and sometimes a second at a time when the whole world is crashing in on you. And all you have to do is like look down, see where your feet are, pick your chin back up and take a deep breath. And it brings you right into the now. It's in the day because what you think happened didn't really happen. It's like only 80% of your own truth. And if You're in the moment with somebody else. They all see it different. And what you think is going to happen is never going to happen the exact same way to every detail. Yeah, you might be able to go in the right direction and have a plan, but it never unfolds exactly the same way. My quote of the day, this topic is just mind-boggling because my grandfather also told me I only have two hands. So if I build a team of, let's say, 10 guys, now I have 20 hands. You can move a mountain when you put a community together. But by yourself, you're going to struggle and work 10 times as hard. So he was a hard worker. My dad was the same. And I'm learning to put teams together like you guys and surround myself with the right people. But my quote of the day is, and I say this all the time, everything you are is anything you are, or rather the other way around. Anything you are is everything you are. How you show up for the world shows up for you. And people watch, and you know, just because we're in a Zoom call doesn't make me a different person. So I show up as me all the time now. And if I go to a business meeting and they don't like that I didn't put on a tie or whatever, that's not on me, that's on them. Be who you are. Anything you are is everything you are. Great topic, Peter. Really happy to be here today. Heard some good stuff too. Thanks.
Thank you, Tony. I know you could talk for another hour on this topic. I appreciate that. And before we get to you, Chris, one more thing. Sometimes, you know, if your business doesn't feel right, okay, it's not that it's broken. It's just there's not you yet. Think about that. A mentor of mine told me that 9 years ago, and that is very, very true. Anyway, I am pontificating around here. I shush and listen to you, Dr. Chris. Over to you.
You're allowed to pontificate, Peter, because it's always full of wisdom, your pontifications. The best advice is I'm combining that with a quote. My favorite ever quote is that the most fundamental desire driving all of us is the desire to be taken seriously. Now, that was by Hugh Mackay, who's an renowned Australian social researcher. So for me, that equates to listening to others and taking them seriously, but most importantly, make them feel like they're being taken seriously through how we listen to them and how we interact with them. So that's my contribution for the moment. Thank you.
Well done indeed. Hugh Mackay, he was one. Has he passed away, Chris, or is he still with us?
No, I think he's still alive. Yeah.
Incredible man. Thank you, Chris. Alan Edwards, before you get too sunburnt, you better put your hat on.
Yeah, just to give my contribution, Peter, I just had a top up orange juice, so I'm well refreshed. I just wanted to tell you about a leader who I worked for, who I admired very much. His name was Simon Wright, and he was the person responsible for delivering a massive program of work. I reported to him, and in railway projects, which this was, that there are usually lots of disappointments, i.e. you can't get time slots that you want, or someone can't give you the resources you want, or they can't fulfill certain commitments. And so always the news would seem bad. And I apologized to Simon Wright for telling him, I said, look, I'm sorry, the news is bad again today. And because there'd been various people who'd let us down and so on. And he said to me, just never apologize about the news. Just tell it how it is and we'll sort it out from there. So he was just saying not to sugarcoat anything, just be factual. Whatever happens, it can be solved. And so I thought that was very sound advice from a much respected guy who I worked for a few years ago. Thanks, Peter. Cheers.
Thank you. And thank you for being here, Alan. I mean, you're breaking up your holiday to do this, and I respect that very much indeed. Thank you so much. Okay. Who'd like to go next? Before I pick on you. John D. Allen. Okay, John.
I got a couple pieces of advice. One was from my father when I was about 20, 23 years old. I'd always worked low paying jobs. The military was one of them. And I used to tell people, you know, it's a nonprofit organization. If you doubt it, look at your check. And, you know, the other one was my dad said to me one day, I make more than you pay. I pay more in income tax than you pay in wages. So that ticked me off. So I went and got a job in construction. And I come back one day, my chest is all puffed up. And I said, I pay more in income tax than you make in wages. Looked at me and he said, good. Now start using your head instead of your hands. What a way to blow a guy's ego all to hell. And the other one I learned was, you know, being associated with Peter, that fall in love with your prospect's problem, not your solution and program, because they don't give a damn about your solution or program. What they want to know is, can you solve my problem? And when you talk to these people, really listen. Listen to what's said and not said. Then you can decide whether you can help them or not. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, John. I think your old man and my old man would have been good mates. No doubt about that. By the way, one other thing that comes to mind from my father, because I was going to quit with a particular. In fact, I did quit. I was working with Qantas Airways in Australia, and and he was pissed off because I was going to leave it because I didn't like. That's another story. But he said to me, if you're going to leave, son, just remember this: that restarting is not a weakness unless you use that as an excuse. Okay. He didn't pull any punches, my father, when you think about it. Van Gillis, over to you.
The phrase, take responsibility for your life. I grew up in a restrictive, strict environment where it was extremely dictator-like. And it's sometimes difficult for people to grasp how you could get to the point where you don't make your own decisions. And if you're conditioned and indoctrinated like that, listen to your authorities, listen to your parents, listen to your pastors, listen to your teachers, and you grow up from 1 year old, and that's all you ever see or hear. And then in school, it's even more compounded. And when you get to a point where you're not even making your own decisions, I mean, I've had people tell me, now, before you do anything, pass it by me first. Multiple people in my life. And you don't realize that you wake up one day and you wonder, I'm not even doing what I want to do. I'm not living where I want to live. I never wanted this or whatever that I got. And you look back and wonder what happened, and you start blaming people for your life. And one person, after they had given me some advice to do something, and I followed it because I was supposed to, and didn't work out right, they said, well, you're responsible for your decisions. And I thought, really? You publicly humiliate people when they don't follow what you say. So that was a huge stretch for me, is to start thinking for myself and making my own decisions. It was very disorienting at first, but now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's how I ended up that way. So be responsible, take responsibility for your decisions. That's the advice.
Well said, well said. Which reminds me of something, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying, because she's like a sister to all of us, Yvonne Johnson. And when you're watching the replay, Yvonne, because I know you always do, please forgive me for sharing this, but you taught me this lesson that was the greatest piece of advice I've ever been given for years. And she said, Peter, when people say thank you to you, just shut up and accept it. Because I used to go on and on and on. I think you know what I'm talking about, John. You were on that call that same day, right? She said, just shush, Peter, just accept it. That was a piece of advice that I really thank you, Yvonne, when you're watching the replay. Thank you. God bless you. Okay. George, what about you, my man? The best advice you've ever received, or
All right.
in whatever
Just so you
point you want
guys
to
know, I'm
quote.
not feeling well today, so that's part of the reason why I'm so quiet. Anyhow, best advice that I received was everything you're looking for is within you, not without, which led me to do a lot of internal work and you see things, and obviously there's a lot of listening involved. But I would say that's the best advice that I received. Not the only, but we're not sharing everything. And my favorite quote is actually an African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I love that, Robert. I'm so pleased you mentioned it, George. Well done, mate. Well done.
All right.
Jeff Veale, what about you? Apart from do it now, what other pieces of advice have you been given that has impacted on you?
Oh, Peter, I think I got a lot of my things. We all do. I got a lot of my things subconsciously from the people I met during life's journey. My stepfather was a good one. When I was 8, guys, I had a motivational speaker. He'd take me every morning to the bathroom and comb my hair before school, and he'd tell me, "Shit, you're an ugly kid." And I was so happy. I ran out the door full of beans. And then I used to go to the nearest telegraph pole and take off my glasses, because if I didn't, when I got to school, I got beat up by all the bullies. So I had a pretty tough upbringing at that time, and I decided I'll get out. And I got out of school when I was 14. And my mother told me, "If you don't like it here, why don't you leave?" I said, "Give me 15 minutes. So I left 14 when I was 14, guys. And I've been doing things my way most of my life. So the things I can share with you, the couple I can share with you are, no one, I repeat this, write it down. No one is coming to save you. Think about it carefully. No one is coming to save you. I was only thinking the other day, when you're dead, people are sad and they'll go to the funeral, they'll cry a bit. 12 months later, you're gone. You are gone. They've moved on with their lives. That's part of life, right? You might think about them occasionally, but it is what it is. So enjoy your life while you're here. Do it your way. And the big one I got this one cost me $20,000. I got it from a business coach, and I didn't like the guy. And I didn't even realize he'd given me this until about 5 years later, maybe even longer. I use it every day now with my clients. And it's this: you don't know what you don't know. Think about it, guys. That's all of us. You don't know. I'm learning every day. You don't know what you don't know. If you look in the chat, I've just showed you my calendar just for today alone, or last couple of hours, in fact. There's 10 bookings. How many people do you know are getting a minimum of 10 bookings a day? Because I've told you all before, get a branded QR code, because they bloody work. But no one listens. That's okay. On with the show. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Jeffrey. One thing that strikes home with me is because we all go through tough times, and on being an entrepreneur, we've got to accept the fact that sometimes the dream of being an entrepreneur is not as easy as we thought it would be, right? Because first of all, we are our own worst boss, okay? And secondly, because there are days when you feel, God, am I doing the right thing? Should I have even started this thing? I mean, can you all relate to that? You must have these days when you think, where the heck can I go from here? And you feel down, and when you feel down, everything falls in on top of you. And so you're attracting more negative energy around you. And you get to the point you think, what's the bloody point? What's going on? And that's when you need someone to talk to. Brian, you talked about this earlier. You were so right. You need someone to talk to. You can't do it on your own, okay? And the most important message I want to give all of you, I'm going to be 80 in not much more than 30 days. That scares the living shit out of me, right? In many ways, right? But it's not over. Doesn't matter what your day's like. It's not over, right? you've probably just run out of other people's ideas. Think about that, right? This is the best time for you to actually come up and use your own. Now, if you need other people to help you identify and clarify that, sure. But do not ping yourself too hard. Don't push yourself or blame yourself too hard if things aren't working well for you, because you know what? Join the bloody club. We've all been there. And if you don't and not prepared to admit that, then you're lying. I've never yet met an entrepreneur who has not gone through a day when they think, God, what can I do? That's an important message I want to give all of us, okay? Before we wind up, because I know people have got things to do, anyone want to share some last thoughts on this? Any quotes that you've come up with or any ideas you want to share? No? Going once? Chris, yes? No?
Yes, there's an Australian author by the name of Peter Carey. An interview I read, something he said, because the interviewer was talking about how you lead your life. And he said, Peter Carey, I'm paraphrasing a bit, he said, you don't lead your life, you follow your life. You choose the thing that energizes you at the time. And I found that to be very profound, and it's so true, certainly in my life. So you you
Say that
you
again, Chris. Give it to me
you
again.
you follow your life. You choose the thing that energizes you at the time, as opposed to leading your life.
Wow.
Mm.
Well, the more I think about that, the more real it is.
Yeah.
That is very clever. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Peter
Anyone
Carey, not
else?
me.
No, but thank you for doing it. Any other thoughts before we go? Well, thank you very much
I've got
indeed.
one.
Oh, good on you, Mary, the only woman here. You got to speak up.
All
Go.
right. So, find your group of people that are not afraid to tell you the truth and what they can do to help you, but how you can help them. When you start a business, it's scary, especially when you're doing things that no one else is doing. And having that support group around you, not yes men, but real support group of people, is crucial to help you navigate what you need to do and how you need to do it. Otherwise, you're spending lots of money on gurus and people that don't have your best interests at heart, and you're going to fail because you're going
Okay.
to end up getting knocked down. You're going to try things that's going to fail, and no one's there to help you.
Yeah, now when you think about it, Mary, I mean, we are tribal, aren't we? Right? And so communities are all important to us. And I mean, this is a community. This little group is a community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I understand you correctly, we can't live on our own. I mean, unless you're a hermit, I don't know. I suppose they can do it. I don't know how they do that, but I couldn't do it. But if I understand you correctly, Mary, what is the real message you're trying to say there? Because I want to make sure I've got it clear.
Find your support, find your people.
Okay.
And by that, people who are willing to be honest with you. I mean, look at how many times, over the years, I've tried to message and tried to say things, and y'all were honest and said, "Oh, that didn't work. That's not real to who you are." You were never afraid to kick me in the butt and tell me, "No, you can figure out a different way of doing it."
That is good. That is so true.
Mary,
Thank
that's
you.
also a testament to your toughness and your courage and your self-confidence that you can receive these thoughts. You can receive, maybe you should say this and receive that, and it doesn't throw you off. You only incorporate what works for you. I like it so much, though, your response. I loved what you said today, actually, especially when you gave the title to your company. um, I thought that was really, really great. I hadn't heard that before from you, but you make it welcoming to receive help. So I wanted to say that to you.
Well
You
said,
didn't get
Brian.
the privilege, Brian, of seeing me when I first started back with Peter years ago. This is not who he saw then. And then I stuttered really bad. I had a hard time even just doing camera deals. Being in this group and with these individuals, you and Fred and Brenda over the years have really helped me not worry about what I say and just say it.
Mary, we all grew with you. You grew us as well as us growing you. It goes both ways because you're such a bloody honest woman. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke at you. It's the truth. We just admire and love you. Oh, go away.
I now come with the disclaimer. I'm German, Irish, ex-military, and neurodivergent. I'm autistic. The filter gets broken. And it's not a defense mechanism for me. It's because someone said something dumb. I just can't be nice to you. And it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
I hope I never
People
said anything
like it.
dumb, Mary.
Yeah.
She's the polite
Say
one.
something dumb, Mary. Please tell us, but do it quietly. Okay.
It's
Thank
usually
you,
my
everyone.
husband that says something stupid.
Okay, we'll call it quits. Thank you, everybody. God bless you all. Thank you very much indeed for your support. Love you dearly, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Okay, take care.